because we need students. Again, we will start this para because we need to record it for some students. There have been many injuries recorded over the years. We have many injuries in these organizations. So, but that injury is recorded. In this para, they are telling us two things. One is many injuries because we have lack of control measures, lack of safety precautions. We have negative culture in the organization, but the injury is recorded. The recorders mean they have at least record. So one side the negative, many injuries negative because lack of health and safety precautions, but they have recorded that showing the positive points. यानी इस सेंटेंस में दो चीजें हमें मिलते कि मैंने इंजरीज क्योंकि जो अगर इतनी ज्यादा इंजरीज है तो क्यों इतने ज्यादा इंजरीज है क्योंकि उधर लैक ऑफ कंट्रोल मेजर्स इन्हें उधर कंट्रोल मेजर्स नहीं लिए थे यानी कल्चर निगेटिव था सेफ्टी कल्चर इसलिए बहुत ज्यादा इंजरीज है और दूसरी साइड पे वो इंजरीज रिकॉर्डेड है तो इंजरीज को रिकॉर्ड किया हुआ है तो ये एक पॉजिटिव पॉइंट है ठीक है Most recently, a repeat of a more serious collision occurred involving a young FLT driver. Because now they are telling to us that they have serious collision. And that collisions, a young FLT forklift truck drivers involved. We already studied about the vulnerable workers. Vulnerable workers, who are vulnerable workers, young workers, expecting are new mothers, disabled workers, and lone workers. We already studied. And this one is a vulnerable worker because he is a young. And we already told that a young person will not do the high risk activity in the organization. But in this organization, they give this driving job, FLT trucks, because this is a high risk activity and they're given to this young worker, which is showing negative point, negative culture of this organization. Okay. क्योंकि इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में हम लोगों ने ऑलरेडी पढ़ा है कि वल्नरेबल वर्कर जो है उसको इस तरह का हाई रिस्क एक्टिविटी नहीं देगा क्योंकि हम लोगों ने पढ़ा है कि वल्नरेबल वर्कर में यंग वर्कर जो 18 साल से कम हो इसके अलावा एक्सपेक्टिंग आर प्रेग्नेंट वुमन फिर जो डिसेबल वर्कर्स है या लोन वर्कर्स ये सारे वल्नरेबल वर्कर्स होते वल्नरेबल वर्कर्स का मतलब कि वो रिस्क को ज्यादा नजदीक होते हैं क्योंकि वो उससे रिस्क उससे खतरात बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं ओके तो ये यंग वर्कर था और उसको एक हाई रिस्क एक्टिविटी का काम दिया था ये जो एफएलटी ट्रक है ये हाई रिस्क एक्टिविटी वाला काम है क्योंकि ड्राइविंग है और वो भी स्टोर में क्योंकि स्टोर में या इस तरह के जो वेयर हाउसेस होते हैं ये इसमें ये एक्सपीरियंस बंदे को ड्राइविंग देना चाहिए because this young FLT driver they have very less experience because they don't have experience inexperienced person so this a negative point here negative culture showing up the company the brakes were applied too late as the driver was distracted by their mobile phone the FLT skidded on an oil spillage and knocked goods over onto a passing worker. So what happened? This young worker applied the brake, but that brake was late, too late. And that time he was also using mobile phone and there was a spillage of oil. And on that spillage, this FLT truck that slipped, skidded, that slipped, and the goods come on the passing worker, the workers who was passing there, all the goods come on that person. So one in this sentence, one, the driver applied the brake late. Why? Because he was using mobile phone, and there was oil spillage on the way, and due to that, the FLT, the forklift truck, slipped on that oil, and even there was a passing worker. So this means the passing worker was also on the vehicle route, and all the goods come on the passing workers. So one thing, brake let brake applied. Second, mobile use of the driver. Third one, there was oil on the route. Fourth one, there was a person who was also on that way on which the vehicle, the forklift truck, was driving. Because this person not using the proper way there. So in this sentence, showing us the negative culture of this organization, there's no rules and regulation for the pedestrians. There was no pedestrian walkway. Therefore, he was on the same routes, and there was no rules and regulations for the drivers because he was used mobile phone during the driving, which is showing negative culture of the organization. And there was no proper inspection or proper risk assessment because the oil spills which was available on the route, because due to that oil spills, the forklift truck skidded on that oil spills, and the goods come on the persons. And the other things, they not tied the goods. The goods, they're not tied, therefore the goods come on the workers. So this totally a negative sentence, but we have a lot of points in this sentence. Now I will explain this in Urdu, sorry. क्योंकि इस सेंटेंस में हमें एक तो ये जो ड्राइवर है ये यंग है, और इसने दूसरा जो ब्रेक अप्लाइड किए वो लेट अप्लाइड किए, और किस वजह से किए वो लेट, क्योंकि वो जो बंदा है वो मोबाइल फोन यूज कर रहा था, ठीक है, इस वजह से उसने ब्रेक लेट अप्लाइड किए। फिर उधर रास्ते में ऑयल स्पिलेज था, और उस ऑयल स्पिलेज की वजह से जो फोर्कलिफ्ट ट्रक था वो स्लिप हुआ, और फोर्कलिफ्ट ट्रक के जो फोर्क है उसमें जो सामान पड़ा हुआ थे, उधर से एक बंदा गुजर रहा था, उसके ऊपर गिर गए, क्योंकि वो जो बंदा उधर से गुजर रहा था तो उसके लिए कोई सेपरेट पेडेस्ट्रियन वॉकवे, इन्हें अलग कोई रास्ता नहीं था, वो भी उधर से जा रहा था और उसके ऊपर गिर गया, और जो सामान था वो भी इन्होंने सही तरीके से नहीं बांधा था, इसलिए तो ऊपर गिर गया। तो एक नेगेटिव पॉइंट कि वो जो ड्राइवर है मोबाइल फोन यूज कर रहा था, उसने ब्रेक लेट अप्लाइड किए। दूसरा उधर ऑयल स्पिल, क्यों ऑयल स्पिल है, क्योंकि उधर इंस्पेक्शन नहीं हो रहा था, कोई उधर सेफ्टी रूल्स रेगुलेशंस नहीं था, कल्चर नेगेटिव था, ठीक है। थर्ड वन, वो जो सामान था उन्होंने बांधा नहीं था क्योंकि उनको पता नहीं था, यंग ड्राइवर था। और फोर्थ वन, उधर जो पैसेंजर वो जा रहा था, वो क्योंकि पेडेस्ट्रियन वॉकवे तो उस रास्ते में नहीं जाना चाहिए था, उधर तो लाजिमी पेडेस्ट्रियन वॉकवे होना चाहिए, ठीक है। तो ये टोटली नेगेटिव पैराग्राफ है। दिस पैराग्राफ इज आल्सो अ नेगेटिव पैराग्राफ बिकॉज दिस इज शोइंग the negative culture of the organization. Okay. In next para, on this occasion, the worker's leg broken. The worker's legs was broken, which required urgent hospital treatment. So, after that accidents, because this was accidents. After that, the worker's the legs broken. Okay. and that workers need urgent hospital treatments. Okay, जब ये वाक्य हुआ, एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, उसमें वर्कर का जो टांग है वो टूट गया और उससे जल्द से जल्द हॉस्पिटल ट्रीटमेंट चाहिए. The hospital is 5 miles, approximately 8 kilometers away from the store. ये जो हॉस्पिटल है ये 5 मील यानी 8 किलोमीटर स्टोर से दूर है. The hospital is away from the store is 8 kilometers or 5 miles. The worker is expected to be off for 6 weeks to recover from the injury. Now, after the treatment, the worker will be off for 6 weeks. That means that 1.5 months, the worker will be off from the work because he is injured and he need recovery. यानी जो वर्कर ये अस्पताल लेके गए हैं उसको 6 हफ्ते ठीक होने में लगते हैं. Okay, the injured worker is seeking legal advice in order to make a claim for compensation. Okay, so now the injured worker want a legal advice. For why? Because he need a claim for compensation. He need compensation from this company. Therefore, he want a legal advice. And he will put a case against the company. Because this is showing negative culture of the company. ये जो वर्कर है अभी लीगली अपने लिए एक एडवाइस की तलाश में है. यानी कंपनी के खिलाफ ये अब केस दायर करना चाहते हैं. किस लिए? कि उसे कंपेंसेशन, उसका जो मुआवजा है यानी उसका जो पैसा है उसे मिले. एक तो कंपनी के खिलाफ एक केस, because this case will be against to the company, which is showing negative culture. In this para, we also studied the worker, that the worker will be for 6 weeks, he will be on off. The company will give the salary to that workers, and the worker is injured. So also the company needs some more time to cover that workers work. इस पेरा में हम लोगों ने पढ़ा कि वो जो बंदा है वो 6 हफ्तों के लिए काम पे नहीं आएगा, तो उसको 6 हफ्तों का जो सैलरी है वो भी कम नहीं देगा. और इसके अलावा वो जो इंजर वर्कर है वो अपने लिए एक लीगल एडवाइस भी तलाश कर रहा है. क्यों? किस लिए? ताकि कंपनी के खिलाफ केस दायर कर ले ताकि उसे कुछ पैसा मिले. So workers' absence and turnover is high in the warehouse. Sorry. जो वर्कर है इस कंपनी में वो एब्सेंस और उसका जो टर्नओवर है वो भी इस कंपनी में ज्यादा है, which is also a negative culture. In this company, the workers absentee and the worker turnover is also high. We already studied this in element number 3. This is the indicator of negative culture of the organization. हम लोगों ने एलिमेंट नंबर 3 में ये पढ़ा है और ये भी एक नेगेटिव इंडिकेशन है हेल्थ और सेफ्टी कल्चर का, क्योंकि ये नेगेटिव कल्चर शो कर रहे हैं. Because we already studied this in element number 3, because this showing the negative culture of the organization. There are no health and safety worker representatives. this is also showing negative culture of this organization, because this is a negative point, because they don't have health and safety representatives in the organization. If they don't have health and safety representative, this means this company is not sincere with health and safety. Their commitment, their top management commitment is not toward health and safety. They are uncommitted. They are not committed toward health and safety, which is showing lack of interest of the top management. क्योंकि इस कंपनी में कोई हेल्थ और सेफ्टी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव नहीं है जो इस कंपनी का निगेटिव कल्चर शो कर रहे हैं, और इस कंपनी के जो बड़े हैं, जो टॉप मैनेजमेंट है, वो हेल्थ और सेफ्टी के साथ कमिटेड नहीं है, उनका जो इंटरेस्ट है वो लो है, और वो उनका प्रायोरिटी क्या है? प्रोडक्शन. बिकॉज इन दिस कंपनी द टॉप management priority is production. They are not giving priority to or preference to the health and safety. Warehouse workers have told you that they have complained to management about working condition many times. This also showing the negative indicator of the company, that the worker told you that they have many times complained to the management for what? For working condition. Why? Because the working conditions may be unsafe. The working condition, when the working condition is unsafe, the worker will complain. इस सेंटेंस में आपको ये बता रहे कि ये जो वर्कर्स है, इन सब वर्कर्स ने आपको ये भी बताया कि वर्कर्स ने जो मैनेजमेंट है उसको कंप्लेन किया है, शिकायत की है कि जो वर्किंग कंडीशंस है उसके बारे में, लेकिन व्हाट हैपन, दे रियरली सी मैनेजमेंट इन द वेयर हाउस, और वो कम तर अपने मैनेजमेंट को वेयर हाउस में देखते, बिकॉज द मैनेजमेंट रियरली कम टू द warehouse. They are not coming to the warehouse in a regular basis. We already studied that the top management will inspect the area. The management will inspect the area, which will showing the health and safety culture, and which will improve the health and safety culture of the organization. We already studied in element number 3 that top management will tour the workplace, because that is the symbols for health and safety, and they will regularly check the area to inspect the unsafe conditions. But in this organization, they are not coming to the warehouse, and the workers have complained. You cannot find any written records of complaints. The workers have complained, but there was no records of that complaints, which also showing the negative indicator of health and safety of these organizations. We already studied that we need a written records. We already studied in element number 3 that category of communications are types of communications, and that we need a written communication for this type of complaints or accident or incidents. But in this sentence, they tell us they don't have the written record of the complaints, which is also negative indicator of this organization and showing negative culture of the organization. So in this paragraph, they have totally negative points. Okay. So in real scenario, we will highlight these points. Okay. But now we are not using the highlighter, but we need to highlight. Okay. So you need to highlight when you will practice on this scenario. Okay. So in the next para, you have tried to convince the overall store and warehouse manager that something needs to be done to improve health and safety in the warehouse. Now you are trying to commit. We are trying to commit the warehouse and store managers for what? To improve the health and safety in the warehouse, which is showing the positive aspects, that something that you are trying, that something you are doing to commit the top management, the warehouse manager, because you are responsible to that health and safety, and you are accounted, you are reporting to this person. So you want to convince this person for health and safety. You are told that there is no money for that kinds of thing, and even if it were available, it would cause too much disruption to business. Very negative sentence from the warehouse managers, store and warehouse manager. He told you that we don't have money. If we have, but we will not spend because we don't want to disrupt our business, which showing their priority is production, not health and safety. And we already studied that top management should give the priority to health and safety. But here, the top management, because this warehouse and store managers is the top management, their preference is totally on production. They don't want to disrupt their business. This is very negative sentence because this top management lack of interest, which is very negative for the organization. क्योंकि इस सेंटेंस में ये जो हेल्थ और सेफ्टी का जो एडवाइजर है या हेल्थ और सेफ्टी का जो इंचार्ज है, वो वेयर हाउस मैनेजर को कन्विंस करना चाहते हैं और उसने उसको बताया कि हम हेल्थ और सेफ्टी को इंप्रूव करना चाहते हैं इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, लेकिन जो वेयर हाउस का मैनेजर है उसने उसको बताया कि हमारे पास इस तरह की चीजों के लिए पैसे नहीं है, और अगर पैसा है भी तो हम अपने बिजनेस को डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना चाहते. वेरी नेगेटिव. ओके, ये नेगेटिव इंडिकेटर्स है. एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ द रिसेंट FLT collision, you are visited by a labor inspector who has made a formal order that requires workplace changes to improve the health and safety of the workers. But in this para now, the collision of the FLT truck, what the result of that? There, the labor inspector visited to the warehouse and he made a formal order. And what they mention in that order, they want to change the health and safety, to improve health and safety in the warehouse for the workers. The labor inspector visit, which is enforcement authority visit, which is a legal enforcement, and they want improvements in the warehouse for the workers. अभी ये जो ट्रक टकराया है, ट्रक टकराया है और उसके रिजल्ट में वर्कर जख्मी हुआ है, क्या हुआ? एक लेबर इंस्पेक्टर इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को उसने विजिट किए और उसने इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को बताया कि हेल्थ और सेफ्टी को इंप्रूव कर ले वर्कर के लिए और अपने वर्क प्लेस में चेंजेस लेके आओ. The inspector think it is only a matter of time before workers are more seriously injured or even killed in the warehouse. So he think that maybe these workers are seriously injured or maybe he will killed, because luckily he saved. Luckily he saved. So ये जो इंस्पेक्टर है उसने ये भी खदशात जाहिर किए कि हो सकते है ये जो वर्कर है ये बहुत सीरियसली जख्मी हो जाता, इंजर हो जाता, या इवन कि ये मर जाता, लेकिन टाइम उसका अच्छा था कि वो बच गया. इंस्पेक्टर also observed that written risk assessments are too general and do not reflect the actual risk in the warehouse. Another negative points, very important indicator, because the risk assessment we already studied, that is we need for every activities, and if we will make a quality risk assessment and if we will implement that risk assessment in our workplace, the accidents ratio will be 0. But he observed that the risk assessment is general, not specific, general. And that risk assessment didn't cover the actual risk, the real risk in the warehouse. So that is showing a negative culture of the organization. वो उसने ये भी चेक किया कि जो रिस्क असेसमेंट है वो भी जनरल है, और उसने ये इसके लिए हमें एक एक्चुअल रियल रिस्क असेसमेंट होना चाहिए, लेकिन ये जनरल रिस्क असेसमेंट है, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने पढ़ा है कि रिस्क असेसमेंट हम लोग स्पेसिफिक रिस्क असेसमेंट बनाएगा ताकि जितने भी हज़ार्ड्स है वो सारे कंट्रोल हो जाए, क्योंकि जब हम लोग एक क्वालिटी का रिस्क असेसमेंट बनाएगा तो कोई भी एक्सीडेंट्स नहीं होगा, क्योंकि रिस्क असेसमेंट एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एक किस्म के हज़ार्ड्स को कंट्रोल करने के लिए एक बैकबोन का हैसियत रखते हैं। ठीक है, The inspector want to see a more effective health and safety management system at their next visit. Now, this inspector also gave the time to this organization, and he want the management system, effective health and safety management system in this organization. We already studied in element number two, health and safety management system. We already studied policy, organizing, planning and implementing, evaluation, action for improvements in audits. Everything should be effective for the next visits. So he gave the targets to the organization. और ये जो इंस्पेक्टर है, लेबर इंस्पेक्टर है, उसने इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को ये भी बताया कि जो मेरा नेक्स्ट विजिट है उसमें ये जो हेल्थ और सेफ्टी मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम है, पॉलिसी है, ऑर्गेनाइजिंग इन रोल एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, प्लानिंग एंड इम्प्लीमेंटिंग है, ठीक है, जो हम लोग प्लान करते हैं, कोई भी जो एक्टिविटीज उसका प्लान करते हैं उसको इम्प्लीमेंट भी करना चाहिए। फिर इवैल्यूएशन जो चेक इस तरह के वो भी प्रॉपर होना चाहिए, पूरा एक्शन फॉर इम्प्रूवमेंट और पूरा ऑडिट्स और ये सब कुछ जो जो हेल्थ और सेफ्टी का मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम है इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में सही इफेक्टिव होना चाहिए नेक्स्ट विजिट में। ठीक है, तो इस पैरा में ये जो विजिट था इंस्पेक्टर का उसके बारे में बता दिया और उसने जो इंप्रूवमेंट्स के लिए हमें रिकमेंडेशन दी है उसके बारे में बता दिया। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट पैरा में you have discussed with inspector possible improvements to health and safety in the warehouse, and means that you discussed the inspector discussed with you the improvements in the warehouse about health and safety. यानी आप दोनों का डिस्कशन जो हेल्थ एंड सेफ्टी के इंप्रूवमेंट्स के बारे में वो यही है, वो बता दिया गया। The proposed solution involves segregating FLT forklift trucks and walkers with barriers, pedestrian walkways, designated crossing places, and separate entrances for workers in FLTs. क्या वो डिस्कस हुआ है? What have been discussed for improvements? That they need a separate FLT forklift trucks route, and they need a barriers in the for the workers and FLT trucks, between the FLT trucks, and there should be a separate pedestrian walkway for the workers and designated crossing places on the roads, separate entrance for workers in FLT, in the warehouse separate entrances, and for FLT separate entrances and separate entrances for the workers. ये जो उन्होंने प्रपोज सोल्यूशन दी है, जो रिकमेंडेशन दी है वो ये है कि जो फोर्कलिफ्ट ट्रक्स है उसके लिए अलग रास्ता होना चाहिए, वर्कर के लिए अलग रास्ता होना चाहिए, पेडेस्ट्रियन वॉकवे जिसको हम कहते हैं, और जो ये रूट्स है, जो व्हीकल्स रूट्स है, गाड़ियों का रूट्स है, वो उसमें क्रॉसिंग पॉइंट्स भी होना चाहिए और क्रॉसिंग पॉइंट्स को हाईलाइट भी करना चाहिए फिर जो वेयर हाउस में एंट्रेंस पॉइंट है, जो अंदर आने के पॉइंट्स है, वो फोर्कलिफ्ट ट्रक्स के लिए अलहदा होना चाहिए और वर्कर के लिए अलहदा होना चाहिए, ठीक है। इन एडिशन यू हैव टेल द इंस्पेक्टर that you will review health and safety performance internally and externally in order to make comparisons. And the inspector also told to you, you need to review the health and safety performance. You need to check the health and safety performance and please review that, he told to you. And that should be internally, externally, both. Why? That you will compare your organizations with the external organization, with the external performance level. So therefore, he gave this task to you. तो इस सिनारो में जो लास्ट पैरा है उसमें आपको ये भी टास्क दिए कि आप जो हेल्थ और सेफ्टी का परफॉर्मेंस है उसको भी रिव्यू करोगे, और वो एक्सटर्नल और इंटरनल दोनों, और उसका कंपैरिजन कर ले कि क्या आप लोग किस चीज में हेल्थ और सेफ्टी का प्रिकॉशंस या हेल्थ और सेफ्टी का जो रूल्स रेगुलेशंस है वो नहीं ले रहे, वो सारा कुछ इसमें आपने रिव्यू करने हैं, ठीक है। सो दिस वाज द सिनारो. Inshallah, tomorrow we will give the answers. But today, what we studied the positive and negative points, and we studied the whole scenario, that what is the scenario. So how we will highlight the points, because we need to highlight the technical points, negative technical points and positive technical points. Okay. So we will study the second scenario, inshallah, you will understand. But tomorrow we will answer students. Sorry, sometime internet problems. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will answer all these questions. Okay. So today, please study, read, and study this scenario. I will share with you people this scenario, and also again listen this scenario, this lecture. So tomorrow we will answer all the question. Up to that time, Allah Hafiz. Inshallah, tomorrow you will learn that how we will technically answers all the question. Okay. So up to that time, please be safe. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll see. Assalamu alaikum.